Isn't it time for you to come back to the islands? Phuket is open and it's never looked better. Choose your trip to your favourite island with 5-Star Marine. Go to 5starmarinephuket.com.
สวัสดีค่ะ It's Natty from the Thaiger, and you're watching Thailand Top Stories, today's major news in Thailand and around the region. Stay tuned for a quick update on the COVID-19 situation here in Thailand, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The GPO is defending its approval of the cheap NovaGen antigen test kits to be sold in Thailand, even though they've been banned in the EU, saying that they could be used in the kingdom because the product has been approved by the Thai FDA. The GPO's deputy managing director explained the reason for the ban of the Chinese-manufactured ATK sales, saying that the EU's Health Security Committee has recently changed some regulations for its kits registration in the region, and because NovaGen had yet to update its license, it had been removed for sales for the moment. The FDA's Deputy Secretary General said the agency has a clear process to approve ATK products, which are based on submitted documents, evidence, and laboratory tests, and reassure consumers that the products are safe and effective. 193 ATK items under 100 brands for home use and 93 for professional use have already been approved by the FDA, with NovaGen earning approval in July. The TAT is anticipating 300,000 monthly visitors in the final 2 months of 2021 for a cumulative 700,000 for the entire year. Fully vaccinated visitors from lower-risk countries and territories are able to visit Thailand under the Test and Go scheme, which exempts them from needing to enter a full quarantine if they test negative for COVID-19 upon arrival. From November 1st to 5th, over 16,000 foreign visitors arrived in the kingdom under the Test and Go scheme and sandbox models, with the majority of tourists coming from the U.S., Germany, the UK, Japan, and Switzerland. Prior to the reopening, eligible travelers could visit Phuket without needing to quarantine under the Phuket Sandbox campaign, which saw a total of a little over 65,000 visitors, booking nearly 952,000 nights at Shah Plus certified hotels throughout the third quarter. The Prime Minister is looking to pursue further cooperation and partnership with the U.S. on global issues such as climate change, human security, human trafficking suppression, and effective COVID-19 responses in the areas of public health and economic recovery. Amarish Bera, member of the U.S. House of Representatives and chair of the Subcommittee on Asia, the Pacific, and Central Asia, recently led visiting members of the U.S. House of Representatives in making a courtesy call to PM Prayut Chan-o-cha upon their official in-person visit to the kingdom. This is the first U.S. official visit to Thailand since the start of the global pandemic, reflecting a long-standing relationship shared by both countries. Both sides have indicated a willingness to advance bilateral cooperation and acknowledge shared views. The two nations also highlighted developing bilateral trade ties in spite of the pandemic, with more support being extended for U.S. enterprises to invest in Thailand. Additionally, both parties agreed that security and military cooperation were vital areas of Thai-U.S. relations, with the kingdom eager to continue promoting strategic collaboration.
Choose your trip to your favourite island with 5-Star Marine. Go to 5starmarinephuket.com.
U.S. President Joe Biden and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping remained scheduled to hold a formal virtual summit next week, but for now, no specific date has been set. The long-distance summit comes as ties between the world's two largest economies have thawed over recent months, even as saber-rattling and cross-Pacific rhetoric continues over Taiwan. A White House spokesperson has reiterated this week that there's an agreement in principle for a virtual meeting between the two presidents before the end of the year. The execution of a Malaysian drug trafficker in Singapore has been stayed again after he tested positive for COVID-19. He was scheduled to be hanged yesterday for drug trafficking. The man, who has an IQ in the 60s, also earned another stay of execution earlier after a last-minute appeal about his mental capacities. Singapore is one of the world's most draconian capital punishment regimes, with zero tolerance for small amounts of illicit drugs. Truck drivers and owners around the region have been striking some flash strikes, others for longer, citing concerns over complications to the global supply chain disruptions. In Bangladesh, the government is threatening to raise diesel prices by 23%. Meanwhile, truckers in Indonesia are announcing a one-day strike to protest the severe shortage in diesel supply and fuel smuggling patrol stations. In Thailand, tens of thousands of drivers have been on strike since last week to protest the upsurge in diesel prices. Hundreds of cargo ships have been directly affected by the strikes, as supply chain issues around the world are starting to cripple food supplies and general cargo. And now for a quick update on the COVID-19 situation here in Thailand. The CCSA has reported 6,978 new cases of COVID-19 with 62 new deaths. According to the latest reports, 7,697 have been released from care within the past 24 hours. And that wraps up the COVID-19 update. For more news on Thailand, go to thetiger.com or check out our evening show, Thailand News Today. สวัสดีค่ะ